Okay, we're back to part 2. So, once again, stacking it in. I'm now 100% Rachel, asking to integrate any and all patterns at this point. Only after anything to do for the best for Rachel. Okay, so where do we need to go next? Some more NOT? No? Okay. So now we're going to go to the questions that we've been chatting about over the last few weeks. We'll see what the priorities are. Okay, so we do have to actually do some more work on the fear of chronic disease, the fear of chronic illness, that fear of the MCAS just being a part of your life forever with all of the trauma it's creating. So we need to do something around that. See where we need to go. Okay, so we need to do something around being a spiritual being. So maybe something like cancer's tumor, chemotherapy just keep us so fearful of what our physical body is doing that we totally forget spirituality and that whole other level of life to do with love and empathy and honor and goodness and brightness and sharing and caring and all of that sort of jazz. Anyway, we'll see what shows up because there's 40 different things that it could be, and this is the page that's showing up as being the most important, which is interesting and weird, but anyway, we'll see where it goes. I was chatting to a client this morning and he said, the thing about getting cancer is that it changes your brain because all of a sudden you were someone who hadn't had cancer, now you're someone who has had cancer. So everything we think and do after that diagnosis is coloured with that diagnosis. So it's hard just to let it go and become spiritual again. It can be done, but it's a real challenge. Anyway, it was an interesting perspective. So let's have a look. Okay, so the first thing showing up is I am entitled to abundance on all levels. And maybe for you that's about health because you've been unwell for much of your life. So maybe abundance in health is, anyway, we'll have a look. Maybe it's just not a thing that your body can even think about doing positively, happily. So firstly, I am entitled to abundance on all levels. I am entitled to abundance on all levels. Hold. And then I'll check, I am abundant, I am entitled to abundance of health on all levels. I am entitled to abundance of health on all levels. And hold. Oh, that one's worse. Yeah, okay. Okay, is there psychological reversal? Yep. Want, need, think, safe, believe, deserve. Deserve. I deserve to let go of this problem. And hold. Ah, now this one was worse. That's the right side, which is the logical. So your logical brain goes, of course I don't deserve to be healthy. Your emotional brain goes, that's not so bad. I sort of believe that. But your logical brain goes, why would I deserve good health? Which is interesting. Want, need, think, safe, believe, deserve. I deserve to keep this problem. And hold. Nah, but that's both sides of the brain. Both sides of the brain believe you deserve to keep the problem. All right, we've got to kick that one in the butt. So in relation to this one, do we need to do adrenal, survival, deep survival, hidden deep survival? Should we stack in anything? Center of gravity, okay. Sorry. Alice has a retained primitive reflex that makes her rich when I touch her nose. So I'll do it energetically, which is almost just as bad. Of course, I think about MASH and Winchester. You touched your nose! Okay, so escape, submission, freeze, left side caring, love, compassion, feminine, right side, no. So the right side is still really overacting, so your brain's in that, what can I do? What have I done? So it's in the doing or the fear of doing or the want to be doing or the feel like you did something wrong. It's in the doing side where the trauma is. And once again, it's escape, submission, freeze, wanting to run away, wanting to escape, wanting to just, submit, get it over and done with. Okay, so your center of gravity should be about here, hold nice and strong. Yeah, no. So it's not. It's off to the right. And actually, where is it? In front? Is it beside? Is it behind? Okay, so whereabouts behind? Right. It's actually quite a way behind you on about a 45-degree angle. So energetically, your brain is in the past somewhere where it was just easier. It was easier to care. It was easier to do. You didn't have to worry so much about it. But it's a fair way in the past.
I don't know if this makes sense. The ears, both ears and the throat as well.
Ah, both ears and throat are hurting. So I wonder in this one, is it stuff that you've heard, stuff that you didn't want to hear, stuff that you're saying to yourself? And then with the throat, is it stuff you want to say, stuff you haven't said, stuff you've been in trouble for saying energetically? And once again, because your body's on the right side, so it's the masculine energetic doing, sometimes then we are forcing ourselves to do when we don't really want to be doing, or we don't really want to be, we don't want to be there. We'd much rather go home, curl up in bed, read a good book, watch some Netflix. Good old Aussie drama. She's watching some Aussie drama at the moment on Netflix. I deserve an abundance of health. I deserve an abundance on all levels. I deserve to be happy, healthy, and well. Check the amygdala. No, good. Let's recheck your center of gravity. Hold. Good. hold. Do we need to recheck the psychological reversals? Do we need to recheck survival patterns? We can move on to something else. Is there another spiritual? There is. Okay, well, I don't know where this is coming from as well, but it's, I release all judgments I have created around the spiritual path of others. I release all judgment I have created around the spiritual path of others. And hold. Okay. Once again, here's a psychological reversal. There is want, need, think, safe, believe, deserve, trust. So this one's safety. So I don't know whether you have ever had an experience in your life where something spiritual did not work out for you, or whether you were working towards something and spirituality, you know, like I remember saying a few years ago, the universe sucks when everything seemed to be going wrong. And of course, you shouldn't utter those words because the universe will, you know, come back and bite you in the butt. So anyway, Sanu was like, don't say that. Okay, so safety. It is safe to let go of this problem. Hold. It is safer to keep this problem. Hold. Okay. So is there an age for this one? Is it current lifetime, in utero, genetic? So this one's in utero and genetic, so it's actually something that's come down through the family line. Mother's side, father's side, father's side, father's mother's side, father's father's side, father's mother's side, father's father. And you're right, it's very masculine, the energy associated here, because it's fathers. So anyway, there's something in there that's messing with judgment around other people's spirituality. Anywho, so release all judgment I have created around the spiritual path of others. And I'll put the opposite one in as well. I release all judgment. No, I am free to express my spirituality without fear of judgment. Because I feel like the same thing but opposite sides of the coin. Anyway. Okay, so the right side weaker, and the right side relates to that logical brain because it crosses over at the bottom of the skull, the nerves from left to right side of the body. Is there a different psychological reversal going on here? Want, need, think, safe, believe, deserve, trust? No. Okay, so do we need to do adrenals, survival, deep survival, hidden deep survival, center of gravity, something else? Okay, something else. Okay, do we need to go more conscious? Do we need to go map of consciousness? No, so go more conscious. So CC trust. Okay. So trust and trust issues. Okay, so in the clear, trust and trust issues. And hold out. Oh. Fear of trusting. Okay, and this point here is where the rib cage meets. It's sort of around that xiphoid process, which is like a little tiny bone where the sternum comes down. There's a little tiny bone there, bit of cartilage. It's called the xiphoid process. It's a bit sore, which often indicates that we're not breathing as deeply as we should, or there's toxicity in the lower lobes of the lungs, or it can be the point to do with fear, threat, danger. Trust and trust issues. And hold. Beautiful. Any and all trust issues with spirituality. Any and all trust issues with spirituality. Hold. Okay. Escape, submission, freeze, wanting to run away. Yeah, and it's more submission. So I'm sort of thinking with spirituality, maybe there was, and especially on that father's side, maybe there was something in there that sort of messed with them because they were forced to do something spiritually, or saw something spiritually that they really didn't like, or even just seeing something that they really didn't like that affected their spirituality, so that they weren't able to take it on board themselves. Well, that's very much that logical masculine, side of the family, and this is the logical side that's more messed with as well. Any and all fear of spirituality. Any and all fear of the results of spirituality. Any and all fear of submission to spirituality. And hold. Beautiful. Need to do more okay, so we need something else, more neuronal pathways. Okay, we need to go into the reticular activating system. Nearly went there. Okay, so high levels of noradrenaline, so assuming long-term stress, so even just thinking about the fear of MCAS, the fear of the histamine, the fear of long-term chronic illness. So that expectation, the noradrenaline, but also that switching down the serotonin, and serotonin is massively involved in intestinal ease and happiness, and it's sort of we make most of our serotonin in the small intestine. So when our serotonin levels are low, we don't feel safe, we don't feel secure, we don't feel as safe and secure in our body as we could. Okay, and there's another RAS circuit. Okay, so this time the serotonin's showing, and then the vigilance point. So the low serotonin is raising vigilance. And once again, this is why we need to do these breathing techniques, the meditation, the Wim Hof, anything that helps to bring down our breathing so that we can create a space between our trauma and our thinking, so that in that moment of stress, there's more of a gap, there's more of a space between when we have the traumatic thought happen and when we act. So if we learn to breathe, which is what meditation, breathing, Wim Hof, prayer, what it's all about is creating space and calmness and peace in our life, so that when we're under stress, we have more space to connect to our source, to connect to our center, to connect to our peace. Okay. How are the ears and the throat feeling?
Better.
Because the auditory integration points just showed up, but I didn't check them before, so I'll just quickly check them now.
It's like a burn.
And hold. Okay, so this is auditory integration. So that's everything you're hearing. And once again, you're going through treatment. You're doing lots of hospital visits, especially in this crazy time on the planet. So it's a whole new ball game out there in the medical world at the moment. So we have no choice but to trust with faith what we're going through. Otherwise we go crazy. But yeah, so it means you have to be constantly integrating stuff, and because that fear of cancer, fear of tumours, fear of death, fear of dying, fear of pain, fear of all of that is just swirling around all the time. Fear of chronic illness, fear of, going back to worse than before, all of that sort of stuff as well. because this is fear in relation to what you're hearing. So the auditory integration points are in fear, but that can be your self-talk as well. So the old book, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway by Susan Jeffers, was written like 30 years ago, 40 years ago or something like that, but it's a really neat, tidy little book that just gives hints on how to get through daily life. And one of the things is not to focus on one thing, to have like 9 areas of your life, so that, you might be learning guitar, you might be learning motorbike riding, you might be learning to knit or crochet, you might be doing beadwork, you might be doing art, you might be doing family and friends and work stuff or learning. So, it's about having lots of little things going on in your life so that your whole life isn't about health. Because when your whole life is about one thing, as you know, what we focus on, we attract. So getting out of our head and getting into doing something. Life is about doing. Life is about creating. And hold. Beautiful. Okay, good. Is there any more on that one? Do we need any more spiritual? Okay, so we don't need any more spiritual affirmations. Do we need more information from... There's something else we need from what we've been chatting about. So let's have a look. Yeah, right. So the fear of chronic illness. So that's what that was about. So that's linked into a genetic pattern that's going back on the masculine side of your family. And it's about a fear of spiritual, or the judgment of spirituality somewhere along the line. So something happened, going back 3 masculine generations ago. Okay. Should I stack these into the immune system at this point? No. So I was just seeing whether we needed to activate the immune system again in relation to MCAS, the chemo, histamines, but your body's saying no. Because to me there's something more important than going on. So is that linked to spirituality? Right. So then there was the question from last time around the personal power dynamic. So this is linked in with that spiritual connection, was just linked in with that ancestral line. So you sort of said, the next thing I'm curious about is the personal power dynamic, and how someone else you mentioned that seems to be coming from, like who I wonder, ancestor DNA thing, which this is saying yes to. Someone that hates me and sends me bad energy. No. A spirit attack from some witchy stuff? No. So it's more that ancestral line. Okay, and now there's a couple of survival patterns that we need to do in relation to that. So let's go in and have a squeeze. And hold, hold, hold. Okay, so adrenals and survival switching. Okay, now we'll check deep survival. Hold. And hold. Alice has had so many treatments in the past that, this is really cool. But I checked with Skippy Arm, and Skippy's arm said, no. So exactly the big thing, happening. Anyway, so there's deep survival and hidden deep survival, which means that they're traumas that are locked in the nervous system. So and once again, this is ancestral. So there is that assumption of long-term stress, the assumption of long-term trauma, the assumption of long-term issues with spirituality that's messing with your personal power. Do we need some affirmations around personal power? Do we need some flower essences at this point? We can do with some flower essences. Okay, dog rose. 5 corners. And once again, this might be you or anyone up that ancestral line. So dog rose energy. It's around feeling fearful, shy, insecure, apprehensive with other people and niggling fears, but it's about confidence, belief in self, courage, and love of life. Well, let's not muck around and get to the, I was going to say the cheesiest affirmation of the day, but it's about acknowledging yourself in your own magnificence. So let's just go there. So I acknowledge my own magnificence and feel confident in all situations now. I acknowledge my own magnificence and feel confident in all situations now. And hold. Okay. Yeah, that's 10 drops. That's a lot. Okay, I need to get another bottle. So 10. So 0 to 7 is pretty much our whole lifetime. Once it's sort of go around that 7, 8 mark, we're sort of in utero. But more than that, it's going ancestral. And the second one was 5 corners. Life is getting to know you are worthy. So it's for low self-esteem, especially concerning the physical body. And once again, we're looking at long-term stress around coming back to a body that hasn't been working for you in your lifetime, and that inability to accept, integrate with safety the spiritual realm. So that sort of makes sense. And then dislike of self. And once again, self is health. It's your body. It's, you know, what it's doing. So it is for love and acceptance of self, celebration of your own beauty and joyousness. Okay, I am celebrating and becoming more loving and accepting of myself. And hold. Okay. Yeah, that generational masculine thing, I was just sort of thinking in my own family, you know, my great-grandfather, my great-grandfather on mum's side was in the war, and he had trench foot when he came back. So he did the whole Gallipoli thing and had trench foot, and he never allowed anyone to talk about it, but he always had pain in his feet, and he always, so, you know, you didn't discuss it, but it was very much a physical thing. And it just meant that there was so much he could do with the kids until he couldn't, and then he would sit down but it was very much not discussed about the physical side of things. Must be very hard holding that in all the time, having pain or trauma or challenges that just must be hard. Do we need the drops? No, we don't need the drops for that one. We just needed the affirmations. Okay, once again, adrenal survival switching, deep survival. Okay, so now we've got to do the deep survival and hidden deep survival patterns. So this is about sensory input. So this is about how your body feels. It's about how you feel in the morning, about what holds you back through the day, whether it's exhaustion, whether it's aches and pains, whether it's tummy pain. It's about that sensory input that's happening on a moment-by-moment basis, long-term. So when our sensory input, so you know, one of the things about pain and punishment versus feeling safe and secure is that our body can cope with about 5 to 7 times more negativity than positives in our life. So when we're having a day where everything's negative because of pain or inflammation or body trauma, it makes it really hard to start increasing our energy, our spirituality, our purpose, our life, because our body's just saying to us, now go back to bed, I don't care. And then our nervous system follows suit. So the worse we feel in our body and the worse we are traumatized, the less feel-good hormones our body's going to make, because it's just following suit. Which, once again, that's why I love that little book, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. Have you read it? Have you heard of it? Actually, I ordered the, I can't remember his name, the guy who developed the PCR tests, Carrie Mullins, something like that. He died a couple of years ago. But I was listening to a guy talking about the book, he'd just read it, and he was saying, you know, because this guy got a Nobel Prize for PCR testing, and apparently there were a few things that he got up to that were a bit naughty. I can't remember what. One was surfing, by the way, but they were saying, oh, you know, they'll put up with your surfing and they'll put up with your other thing, but if you tell them you took acid and that allowed you to develop the PCR test, you'll never get the Nobel Prize. So apparently he's quite funny in the book. I thought, oh, that sounds like the sort of book I can get into. So first biochemistry book I've ordered in a long time. Anyway, so apparently he's got a bit of a sense of humour. Okay, right. So around personal power, around spirituality, right. So the first little area showing up is the orbitofrontal cortex. This is to do with conflict. Hold out. And it's like, you know, there's those people, like I've got people in my family who are like this. They go, there's absolutely nothing. When you die, you're in the ground and that's it. And, you know, it's fine for people to think that. But then there's the other people who sort of go, no, that's not the end. We've got these spirits and we've got our, you know, soul and all that sort of thing. So, and, you know, let's face it, the truth is somewhere in there, but no one knows because we're all here. So, but anyway, it's, you know, it's like we've had 50 years, well, it feels like it, and maybe I'm wrong, but it feels like there's been 50 years of all the scientists and everyone saying, no, there's no spirit, there's no soul, there's nothing. The body's here, once we get buried, we're gone. But that's after thousands of years of the other belief. So it's like being an indoctrination. Do you sort of feel like that? It's like all the movies, all the music, like it's a real anti-spirit thing going on.
I guess it's so strong in mind.
Yeah, but a lot of people don't have a strong mind. And because it's such a little, like to me it feels like a very slow brainwashing that's been going on. So then it's bad to feel spiritual, it's bad to have belief in something other than ourselves because the science says no. And I've just seen and felt enough in my lifetime to go, well, you can believe what you want. That's not my belief system. You believe what you want. Yeah, like you say, yeah, that's strength. Okay, so there's something else in here around conflict. Maybe we need to have some flower essences. Do we need a diffusion? Because the same area is shown up about the conflict. So there's a real conflict between your personal power and your spirituality, but it's along the ancestral line. So there's something going on in here. Oh, do I need another layer of the orbitofrontal cortex? No, it's not that. So diffusion, correction. Yes, Ross, chakra essence, cream, okay, we need to tuning fork combo. Lungs, so we're back to the lungs again. Can you feel them? So it's lungs and thyroid energy. And the thyroid is linked in with the adrenals and the immune system, so they're all part of the triple heater meridian complex. So lungs, blue. Yeah, feeling trapped and claustrophobic. Slender rice flour. Comparison. So this is about comparison. So once again, when our body's doing all sorts of things that other people aren't, sometimes we're picking on ourselves all the time. So we constantly have that negativity going on where we want to be like everyone else who isn't sick. Unfortunately, 55% of adults have something chronically inflammatory going on. So, you know, we're sort of comparing with the wrong thing these days. But anyway, maybe it's the perception of other people's health or the perception of other people's spirituality, but there's something in there around comparison that's stressing out your brain as well. Okay, so what do we need to do? So this meridian, do we need a chakra? We need a chakra. So throat, base, just throat and base, okay. Is one the bully? No, okay. So we do them the same time separately? Which one first? Okay, so we need to do the throat first. So it's jammed from the top down. And maybe it's something to do with the chemotherapy that's really messing with the energy in here as well, who knows. But yeah, so it's from the top down, okay. I take responsibility for my attitudes and now choose to kindly, gently, lovingly and supportively transmute my comparing myself with others into all-encompassing love. I make the commitment to kindly, gently, lovingly and supportively cooperate with others and acknowledge true humility as the willingness to only see the highest and best in others. I take responsibility for my attitudes and now choose to kindly, gently, lovingly and supportively dissolve my comparing myself with others into all-encompassing love. I make the commitment to kindly, gently, lovingly and supportively cooperate with others and acknowledge true humility as the willingness to see only the highest and best in others. Interesting.
So left side felt it more.
Left side felt it more. So the lungs?
No, both. Both chakras. But
Yeah,
it's the
right.
left side each
Okay.
time.
Once again, do we need any flower essences, any further diffusions? Okay, so where are we at? So back to the PVSS. Okay, so now we're going back into the periventricular survival system. So this is the deep survival and hidden deep survival pattern that's locked in there from that ancestral pattern. Okay, so the next little area showing up is the subclosal gyrus. So once again, spirituality, personal power, and comparison with others are the three things that we've got in here. Now this one's the subclosal gyrus. And this is the one to do with, hold out, genetic. It's that spectrum from rage, anger, frustration, wanting to punch someone in the nose, to wanting to go in the corner and, you know, hide and rock and moan, never come out again. And there can be everything on that spectrum going on. And especially when we're taking lots of pain meds, that can really screw with our heads. That's an old pain and punishment circuit in there. Okay, so now the sympathetic nervous system. We've only got a few minutes left, so with this will check the major organs that are being affected by this pattern, and we'll pick those up, and that's as far as we'll get for today. But this should help to clear. So when you're doing your meditation, when you're doing your deep breathing, when you're doing your Wim Hof or your baths or your walking or your prayer or whatever it is, your spiritual practice that it's seeming like you need to be doing, sort of just allowing, sort of imagine, because just imagine the healing of your ancestral pathways. Just sort of visualize all the ancestors from the past, fill them with blue light and love, and release their negative energy, to to the angels, to whoever your belief system is. Okay, so double lung. And hold back. And hold back.
Oh.
Nothing. Should I use the tuning forks? Yep. And hold. Beautiful. Hold. So lung energy goes from outside the breast tissue up and down to the thumb. You know, so that's your lung energy that you can run anytime your lungs are feeling shallow or breathy or unable to breathe. You know, so running that lung energy helps to just shimmy that meridian. Some of the meridians you can't do yourself, but that is one of the easy ones. Okay, next one showing up is stomach. Once again, not an easy one to do yourself. So hold them coming down and out. Hold coming down and out. Okay. This one goes all the way from head to toe. So stomach energy. It's around the imbalance between empathy and sympathy in your body. So it can be around self-criticism or criticism of yourself or others, feeling other people are unreliable or feeling unreliable yourself. Can be feeling disappointed, feeling disapproved of, deprivation, feeling hungry and empty in life, energetic nausea, that sort of thing. So it's just all sorts of icky stuff that can be going on in your stomach energy. And hold. Beautiful. And hold, and because of your MCAS history, we'll just check in relation to diamine oxidase. Hold up. Okay. Hold up. So that used to unlock at the speed of light. So that's actually doing much, much better, which is really good. Okay. Diamine oxidase is that enzyme that helps us to release the histamine that gets overloaded in our bodies with MCAS. So the next pathway showing up is the liver pathway, and obviously with chemo your poor little liver's really struggling, which is why when you can, taking plenty of the zeolites, glutathione, lipoic acid, N-acetylcysteine, whatever you're allowed to take. Hold on, going back. Relax, relax, relax. That's it. Hold up, I'm going down. Okay, those two are good. And hold. And hold. Okay. Wow. Chalk and cheese. So it's only the fourth pathway of the liver. So the fourth one over there, that's to do with not coping with stress hormones. So it's liver and stress hormones. So, but it's also an acute phase protein. So the fibrin, about blood clotting, lots in the news at the moment about it at the moment. So when you don't have a enzyme called, what is it called? Fibrinogen. So fibrin is the enzyme we release that causes blood clotting. Maybe fibrinogen. I'm sure it has an A's on the end, like fibrinogenase or fibrinase. Anyway, I can't remember, but it's something like that. So this one means that your body releases fibrin when you're under stress and trauma. The problem with that is that it causes clots, it causes thickness of the blood, it causes, you know, your mitochondria isn't going to be making your energy ATP as well as it should. So it sort of messes with lots of pathways in the body. So actually, with the supplements you're taking, your body's coping quite well with the chemo. I'm really impressed. And again, hold. Good. Oops. Kidneys. Kidneys. Okay. So kidneys. So there's 3 on each side. So let's have a squeeze. So hold up for me. Hold up. Oh, okay. No. Hold up.
Doing so good on
No.
that.
So on the right side, the smallest muscle, the pectineus, is doing all the work. The psoas and iliacus aren't activating properly. And hold. 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 Yeah, right. So it's right side only. Kidney energy is about fear, threat, danger. It's about fear and anxiety. It's about everything in there. And once again, the fear of your body going back to chronic poor health, that, you know, after dealing with everything with the big C. No, I'm not talking coronavirus. Oops. And again, hold and hold. Beautiful. Good. Okay. Okay, so once again going back to the PVSS, periventricular survival system, see if there's anything else. Okay, beautiful. Okay, I own my personal power. Hold. My personal power is increasing on a daily basis. Hold. I own my spirituality. Hold. I let go of any and all belief systems around spirituality that no longer serve me. Life is good, life is good, life is good. Okay, now we'll put Alice back to Alice, but I'll upload this tonight and I'm sure we'll talk soon. Okay, thanks Rachel. Thanks Alice.
Well,